Good evening, dandies. Welcome to Undetermined, the podcast.
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, sound good.
Everyone hears everyone.
All right.
We're good.
Just so you know, Scott is joining us by gamer headset.
My son's. It's not mine. People, if they looked in my mirror, they think I'd be like some cool gamer guy here. But no.
Right.
Pony noobs.
Yep.
We are a good dad. You got him a nice headset. You got him a nice, got him a nice PC going. Yeah.
Yeah, it paid off. My son's 20.
Oh, okay.
The one that lives with me, and so he knows all this stuff. Like I was telling John, I mean, he refers to me as Boomer all the time. You know, like he had to come down to like downstairs here where I'm at to set up his computer and all this other stuff.
Right.
I'm pretty useless, you know.
Yeah. That's not fair, though. You're not much older than we are.
So I'm not as smart. So
Yeah. but you're an Xer. I guarantee you.
Yeah, you're Gen X, man.
yeah, I'm Gen X. Yeah, but I think for all that generation, we're all boomers.
Boomers. Yeah.
We're kind of the forgotten generation right now, it seems like.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Like we're the invisible one, but guess what? We're in charge.
Right now.
That's right. They better get used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everything, unfortunately.
Yeah, not everything. Well, White House will be ours soon enough.
Hopefully it'll go back. I can't watch any of that stuff. It's painful.
It's getting painful.
It's horrible. I mean, I know people are like a little bit over exaggerating, but I watched it where he was talking about disinfectants and like ultra, and it's just like,
yeah,
enough of this. You can't. This is ridiculous. He's
right.
He's your racist, crazy uncle.
Yeah.
At every family function.
And guess who fucking loves him most?
Oh, right, exactly. You know, he's drunk uncle. You know, that's it.
Well, and you know, my wife and I were just talking about this earlier, and it was like, well, just living in Missouri, and you know, growing up. I mean, you grew up in Illinois.
I'm in Illinois. Yeah.
Yeah, you're an Illinois boy. I was born in Illinois myself.
Oh yeah, where at?
Further north, up in Morrison, Illinois. You know where like Sterling Rock Falls is? That area.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Morrison's like the capital of Whiteside County.
Okay, yeah, I've been through that. Yeah.
So I grew up there, but I've got friends and relatives in Southern Illinois too, like Carbondale. A lot of my people in Southern Illinois come from El Dorado.
Yeah, I've seen El Dorado. Yeah, I've seen the sign there. Yeah.
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 They're friends on social media too.
Well, yeah, like I said, like that part of Illinois at one time, like prior to the Civil War, there was a movement. It was small that wanted to separate from the rest of the state. They were going to call it Little Egypt because that's what they call it down there.
Yep, Little Egypt, because it's right at the convergence of the Ohio and the Mississippi River. Yeah.
My ex-wife, her dad lived a place outside of Mount Vernon, and what was it called? Nason. And my brother lived in Mount Vernon, and so but we went down there one time, and they were doing a Civil War reenactment kind of thing.
Okay,
and it was definitely a very Confederate leaning like event, and it was just like, and I was joking around. I was like, yeah, I taught Civil War. I don't remember the Battle of Nason. I'm not really sure. You know, it was just an opportunity for people to just basically openly wave Confederate flags.
Right.
People giving them shit, I guess.
It's our turn. Nobody's really shooting at us right now.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of Confederate flags, but so Southern Illinois, you know, that part of the state is definitely it's like Kentucky, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Paducah's right there.
Yeah.
You know, right across the river. There's a ferry that goes there every day.
Yeah.
And I don't want to shit on it too much because I've got family that lives there and very nice people.
Yeah, there's good people down there. Yeah, like I said, my brother lived in Mount Vernon.
Yeah, and, but like El Dorado was a sundown town for many years. There was a sign. You know, those signs, I won't repeat what they say, but anybody who knows their history about sundown towns, they know what they say.
Yep.
And it was awful. And I saw it, up until I was probably about 13, 14 years old.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's just,
Don't let the sun shine on you, you know, so-and-so.
It's not an Elton John song.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't as uplifting as a Sir Elton John song.
Not at all.
More like Rosewood kind of shit.
Yeah.
Yep. Spooky in that regard. Definitely was. It was creepy.
We're getting back to some spooky times.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. It's a little frightening.
Okay, we're going to get back right into that, but before we do, we are terrible at introducing people, so we want to do that.
Okay, gotcha.
Who are we talking to tonight?
My name is Scott Randall.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
Scott is the lead singer for one of my favorite bands of all time, Fragile Porcelain Mice.
Yes.
Caught you guys many times around Missouri.
Yeah.
Got my first bloody nose in a pit.
Yeah, I think when you messaged me, I think, or Tim or whatever, our guitar player. Yeah, I saw that. I apologize.
No, it was my fault.
I got into the pit myself.
Yeah, but it wasn't anybody else either. It was just that the floor was covered in beer.
Yeah.
As were my veins. And I just kind of went head first into the floor, getting really excited, overhearing Concept of Grief, and went down.
Oh, jeez.
So people helped me up, and they were like, oh no, what are you doing? Don't do that.
Yeah.
But I was happy.
Where was that at? Do you remember?
That was at the Regency in Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah.
That black and white tile floor.
Regency. There was two places there. I know the Regency we played quite a bit. There was another place for a while that opened up. I think we played there once.
That Timeline Juke Joint, maybe?
Yeah, Juke Joint. That's
Juke
it.
Joint,
yep.
Mm-hmm. But every time I saw you guys on the banner out front, it's like, yes, the FBM's coming back.
Yeah, we did Springfield quite a bit. That was on the circuit there. A lot of college towns.
Yeah.
Usually Springfield, Kansas City, Columbia, like kind of do like a triangle kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it all comes kind of back to that time. Matt was a DJ there in Springfield for a while. And
okay.
Oh, by the way, I have to mention that Billy Smith says hi.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Billy. Yeah. I saw that you had him on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last time I talked, maybe it was a year or so ago, he came up to St. Louis. Get Up Kids were playing at Delmar Hall in St. Louis.
Nice.
So me and my son went and talked to him and introduced him to Billy. Billy had actually set us up down there. We I think maybe our second or third show there. I can't remember. We played at a club and we got to play with Giant's Chair, which was good. So we got to meet Giant's Chair, and then Jimmy Bayback, who went to school down there, played with Billy in a just like a short-lived band. Then he ended up moving back to St. Louis and started Riddle of Steel later. Billy's great. Roman Numerals played with us a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
And Dirt Nap,
Yep, Dirt Nap. Yep.
Yeah, he was a great guest too.
Mm-hmm.
But a very enthusiastic hello from Billy.
Awesome. He's great. I love Billy.
Yep. Says your moves are undeniable, man.
That's what he told me. Well, that's really my own. I can't really sing. I can't really hold a tune. So I just figured I'll just dance and basically just shake my ass.
All right.
Oh man,
that used to be my moneymaker. Not so much anymore. But,
yeah. Yeah. You guys had it down. I can remember, and it was kind of the first time around that time. I remember just the irony of the band name.
Right.
Yeah, and I think some of it too. Sometimes, I've had discussions with people. I think the band name may have turned off, probably labels and stuff like that. Yeah, that's my fault. Really, the name I should have picked, which I always kind of kick myself, is the Fighting Amish. I think that probably would have got us.
Oh man, I like that.
I had a whole idea where I would use the whole Notre Dame logo, just have a longer beard on there, but we didn't have a name. Picking a name for bands is just some people are just really good at it. Me and Dave, our bass player, have another band that we just put a CD out last year, but we've been doing it for almost 10 years. We're called the R6 Implant, and I don't even know if that's even a good name. I get bands people that have the ability to just create Gaza strippers or something like that. It's just that's like an art form,
right?
Well,
but it's got to fit though too. The music carries it though.
I don't know why I just picked that one. We played.
It makes sense now. I think, but for some people, I know I've heard some people who just what, and it's so ridiculously long, and it's, and it's just, I don't know, it's goofy.
It's not any weirder than Toad the Wet Sprocket.
Yeah, and then Toad the Wet, and that's from a Mighty Python skit.
Yeah,
so that that make it's not as long as and you will know us by the Trail of Dead or whatever, which would be that's a long one.
Godspeed, you Black Emperor, right? Creedence Clearwater Revival, even for
I guess that's you don't even think about those. I guess they just become part of the lexicon.
Yeah, the music just carries it, and I think that makes sense. So
Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah.
Right.
And, sometimes.
Did you ever get to the point where you were recognized by initials?
Yeah, some people around would say FPM. Mm-hmm. So, it was just shorter. And we would put that on T-shirts and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. We did a T-shirt where it was basically stole the NFL logo and just put FPM in there. So that was a nice little thing there. So you can abbreviate stuff a little bit easier.
Right. Yeah. So you grew up in Belleville, so right? Yeah, Belleville. So oh, you do? Okay, right on. All right.
I grew up on the west side. I represent the east side of town now.
Right.
So
and got to get those clicks in. Big city, man.
Yeah, so all of us, Belleville, everybody's kind of I think I'm the only one that lives in Belleville now.
Yeah.
Dave moved over to Missouri, and Tim's in Millstadt, which is not too far. It's still in Illinois, but it's out in the country.
Yeah, but you're still living that city life, that street life.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm still living the street life,
right.
In basically a ramshackled Victorian house that needs a lot of work to it,
Yeah.
Living that hard life.
Yep, as most of us in the Mississippi River Valley area. Yeah. Saluki, is that right? Where'd you go to school?
Oh, I went to Althoff. It was a Catholic high school.
Oh, okay.
3 of the 4 of us went to Althoff. We were in different grades. And then Mark, our drummer, went to Belleville West. So there's 3 schools, and there's Belleville West, Belleville East, and Althoff. And then there's like a kind of a more progressive kind of school called Governor French. And some of those are the main schools. So 3 of the 4 of us were good Catholic boys.
Yeah. Did you start in with music then, or
no? It's like I kind of I was into music, and I didn't really join a band until after high school. And so I was just watching something. I was watching the Slint documentary, that Breadcrumb Trail, and those dudes, when they were young, they were in punk rock bands at 12 and 13.
Right.
I was just playing baseball and soccer, and so I didn't really find punk rock till probably junior year in high school or whatever like that, And so after high school, my friend Jerry Green, he's like, hey, you want to sing in this band? And it was we're going to start a punk rock band. I was like, oh, it doesn't seem that hard, I guess. At first we weren't really good, and our guitar player, he's he later got his a master's in jazz performance and performed at Carnegie Hall and stuff. But we would play this 3-chord punk rock stuff, a lot of covers like Dead Kennedys and Circle Jerks, and we did a Butthole Surfers medley that was actually pretty good, and some of our own songs. We did the music to War Pigs by Black Sabbath, and I sang the lyrics to Golden Country by REO Speedwagon. So they kind of fit in there. So we were kind of goofy. We didn't really fit in that time, 88, 89, 90 or whatever.
Yeah. In
St. Louis, we would get stuck on straight edge bills.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nobody liked us. And so there would be a small group, though, a lot of musicians on the Illinois side or whatever like that. A lot of those bands didn't really fit, because it seemed like a lot of the Missouri bands kind of fit into that kind of straight edge hardcore, kind of very kind of regimented, kind of traditional stuff. And a lot of Illinois bands kind of were just goofballs, and kind of do different things and stuff like that. So we kind of gravitated towards that. So that was my first band. It was called Disco Zombies. So
nice.
See, now that's a great name.
And so I can't remember. Our guitar player took it from something. I can't remember where he took it from. It's another comic book reference, maybe. I'd have to look that up. I can't remember. And then after that's when I joined Fragile, because the other guys were in a band called Dementia 13, and we played together a few times, and I hung out with them because Mark, our drummer, lived right down the street, and I'd go down when they were practicing and stuff like that. I haul gear with them at shows and stuff. So Tim's brother, our guitar player's brother, was the singer guitar player there, and he was older. He was probably about maybe, I think he's 4 or 5 years older than me, so he's probably 8 years older than Tim, and he was getting married, so he probably didn't have a whole lot of time with stuff. So they asked me if and we wanted to start this new project kind of thing, and it just kind of went from there.
Yeah, I kind of find that, and not that FPM is like this necessarily, but a lot of Illinois bands are kind of piecemealed. At least the bands that I saw around up in Northern Illinois and the band that I was in, it was we had a guy on bass who was a big fan of alt country. And then we had a guitar player who was a big fan of 80s metal. And then we had me as a singer who was a fan of the Sex Pistols.
Yeah, we were kind of like that too.
Yeah.
There's certain linchpin bands that everybody kind of agrees upon, but there's other stuff that people just kind of bring their own little touch to it. And then just like, I don't know, like just everybody listens to different stuff.
Yeah.
It just seemed to me, and I could be wrong, but it was just like when I first started playing in bands or playing, disco zombies or like that, I just noticed that there was a little bit of a difference with the Illinois and like kind of like the Missouri, like the St. Louis area bands.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like some were amazing, like Ultraman.
Oh yeah.
We were just talking about Ultraman.
Yeah, our guitar player Tim plays in Ultraman now.
Yeah, he played in Ultraman. Yeah.
Yeah, he plays in Ultraman now. But that Ultraman lineup, that was like late '80s, early '90s, and that.
Mm-hmm.
They were a machine.
Yeah.
Just tight. They're good. I just saw them just like recently, and their new stuff sounds really good. But it was just like that band was like head and shoulders above like everybody else, it seemed like. And then there's a lot of bands I think that tried to kind of like maybe emulate that a little bit, but the musicianship just wasn't as on point as that was, and just the live show and stuff like that. But
yeah,
Illinois bands just seem to be just a little weirder to me.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You look at the Urge, and
Oh yeah, and the Urge just came out of that punk rock ska stuff, and then musicianship wise, they're just yeah, and like there was a lot of bands like Sinister Dane, the Urge, Thug,
Pale Divine.
Yeah, Pale Divine was like was really good.
Yeah, the Eyes.
Yeah, the Eyes. They were that Pale Divine record's just really good.
Yeah, it is. And Rich went on to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that band should have been huge. They had all but it's just like God, it's just so weird. But like we're from Belleville too. Uncle Tupelo.
Oh yeah, great band.
Yeah,
was the band that like everybody was like kind of looked up to and was kind of in awe of.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, they carried influence way out.
Oh my God, they created like a whole genre basically.
Oh, yeah,
no depression stuff.
No depression. Yeah,
we talked to a lot of the Kansas guys from that scene. Or from that era.
Yeah.
And, feeling just like I do feel a difference between, one scene and the other, just in what you're describing, because there was like a lot of just everybody's there for everybody. But I think, they probably had less to work with and needed each other more. Yeah.
And there was like I said, like for us in the 90s, like the Kansas City scene was a huge influence on us. Like we, all those, Shiner and Season of Risk and Molly Maguire and Giant's Chair.
Yeah.
All those bands were like, that stuff was like, those were the bands that we kind of like all like agreed upon. Like those
right.
Those CDs were, Molly Maguire, that Lime CD, we basically, I think burned a hole in it,
Yeah.
All those bands were like a huge influence on us. And you could tell that those guys had, and they came out of like a lot of that kind of punk rock hardcore stuff that just like, just like the cream of the crop, just kind of like, they just kind of, they just evolved and kind of pushed instead, and didn't just stay.
Right. And you take that and you get like Truck Stop Love, which has it's punk rock, but Uncle Tupelo,
Yeah. And then there was, who was that? There was and remember like another Tupelo, like a Columbia band was a Ditch Witch. I remember seeing them quite a bit.
Yeah.
Ditch Witch was really good at that alt country kind of stuff. But there was a band from Manhattan, Kansas that I can't remember. I remember they had the NHL logo as their on their t-shirt design. I thought that was really awesome, and they were really good. I remember we played, but I think we saw them in Kansas City sometime. But there was a lot of those bands that were from Lawrence, but you could tell a difference like in a little bit in Lawrence bands and Kansas City bands. Kind of same idea.
I feel so bad because I'm certain you're talking about someone we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. They're really good.
Talk to a lot of guys from Manhattan.
Yeah, they were really good. But I remember they had the NHL logo on their T-shirt, which I thought was like a brilliant, because I was always into that aesthetic of just stealing corporate logos.
Yeah,
they were like, "Hey, we got a T-shirt design." I was like, "Oh, okay. Why don't we use?" I just flew back from Europe. Why don't we use the KLM logo? It's like anything that had like 3 letters with it. I was just like, let's use that.
Well, I think that was a thing from what I heard about Stone Temple Pilots. They really like the STP logo from the gasoline, additive.
Yeah, that just kind of showed my lack of ingenuity and creativity.
Right. They're like, let's just have something that goes with STP because it's a really cool fucking. Yeah.
I didn't think that far ahead. Let's see something that goes with FPM. But I did not have that foresight.
Where'd the name come from?
I took it from a David Letterman top 10 book.
Oh, did you?
For 10 least likely names for NFL expansion teams. And later I came to find out that there's a movie that was made, I think, in the late 70s that was kind of a spoof on like the 50s, like kind of like greaser, like kind of gang movies, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a gang that was in the school. So it was a school had all these gangs.
Uh-huh.
And the nerd gang was Fragile Porcelain Mice.
Oh,
so
no
that's
shit.
where David Letterman, the writers of David Letterman probably took that from there. I took it from the David Letterman book, and I didn't know till later.
That's pretty awesome.
That's where that came from. So it's kind of indirectly taking that from that movie. But yeah, I don't know. I was at a friend's house, and he had the book of the top 10 stuff, and I, for whatever reason, like I said, the Fighting Amish was on there, and I probably should have went with that.
Nah.
I just wasn't that quick and thinking because we played like an open mic night at in St. Louis at a place called Kennedy's, and we only had like 4 songs, and we didn't have a name. We couldn't think of a name, so they asked, what our name was, and that's the first thing I said, and we actually had a pretty good response. So we're like, all right, we'll just keep it. It was just out of laziness or whatever. But if people hate the name, it's all my fault.
I know. I think the story makes it even better, though.
I feel bad. There's a lot of stuff that is all my fault, and so there's a lot of times where I apologize.
I mean, I don't think you should. I think it's very good.
It is what it is.
And I'm like a huge Nirvana fan.
Yeah,
always have been. But I tell you, the first time I heard that band name, I thought, that's a little on the nose, isn't it? You know, kind of, just Nirvana, like they have that state of consciousness.
It's like
sort
too
of
good of a name.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, they nailed it. I know it's on that one of those documentaries. They had some weird names too that they were going to be, and you couldn't really imagine them being other than that band name.
And sometimes, sometimes the name carries the band, other times the music carries the name.
Yeah,
there are a lot of people in the world that don't actually know what the word Nirvana means, but they know that fucking band name.
Sure, they do.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I teach world history,
mm-hmm.
and like I'll cover a chapter on Buddhism and stuff, and so I'll do a review game. I'll give a hint, like that. I'll have that as my final question or whatever, and then I'll give a hint, and I'll be just like kind of sniffing around, and a kid will be like, "What?" And I go, "Oh, do you smell that?" And they're like, "What?" And I go, "It smells like Teen Spirit." And so it used to be in years past, my first, because this is my 21st year, kids now they don't. I mean, like there's less, I should say less and less kids get that. Now I think I just saw something. Post Malone apparently did a whole Nirvana set.
I heard that.
So now kids will probably know more than that. Probably. I'll have to probably remove that question from the bonus round. So.
Well, at least you didn't say, "Smell that? Territorial pissings."
Right, yeah, no, I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
that'd be harder to...
Right, that would be
more obscure.
Yeah, that would be...
What are you talking about, Mr.
I would probably have to get union representation after that one, try to explain that to some parents.
Awesome.
You got your degree in history?
Yeah, education with history major, poli-sci minor. And I guess education is technically my BS, I guess.
Okay. I got my bachelor's in history.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And then, and then I got my MAT in teaching. Well, apparently, yeah.
Teaching, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a friend of mine who I work with, he got his degree in history and then went back and got the teaching thing. So I just was going simultaneously into the education department, and so you had to pick a major and a minor.
Right.
So
that's what I did.
You're our second teacher in the last couple of weeks.
Yep. We're just talking to Mark Hennessy a couple weeks ago.
Oh, from Paw.
Yeah, from Paw. And,
awesome.
Yeah. Godzillionaire too. Have you checked out his new shit?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I'll have to check that out.
It's better than Paw. It's better than
Paw.
Paw. Yeah, that Paw stuff is good.
Yeah.
I know. I think I saw some years ago. I think Steve Tulipana from Season of Risks was filling in for him for a little bit on some stuff. That was the years, that was probably maybe late 90s, early 2000s or something like that.
Yeah, and he's gone on too. He's also currently filling the shoes for Primitive Race, original singer for Faith No More, Chuck Mosley.
Oh, yeah, the guy who passed away.
Yeah, he passed away. He's going to be filling Chuck Mosley's shoes.
Wow.
That's
crazy.
So a lot of good things going for him.
Yeah, so Mark Hennessy teaches. Yeah, I think, I don't know. I think there's quite a bit of people that are in bands and stuff like that. I think I was always equating it. It's kind of like opening up for a band that's really popular. You're the opening band, and you're basically trying to impress the crowd.
Right.
Now, before it used to be, I'd be like, we were opening for like bands like The Urge or something like that, and people like most of their crowd are more accepting of us. When we first started playing with those guys, it was kind of a tough sell, and then after they had us quite a few times,
right,
people started to kind of accept us a little bit more. But I kind of equate now the band that I'm opening for is their cell phones. So right. I have to basically try, I'm like 45 minutes of the opening band, and then they're like, "Boo, get off the stage! I want to be on my cell phone."
That's a tough sell. Yeah.
A little bit harder.
Right. But you know what? In a lot of ways, like teaching history and teaching literature, it's a performance. Yeah,
there's a definite performance art to it, kind of like doing that, like kind of lecturing. So I think a lot of people who have been in bands or fronted bands, it kind of makes sense. There's a little bit of and there's also a little bit of a control kind of issue too, I think,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's definitely a harder crowd to impress,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's definitely a tougher crowd.
Sure.
Might help to bring the band in, every once in a while.
Yeah, sometimes they'll ask that, and I'll be like, well, you guys haven't been that bad, so I don't want to punish you. It's like, you don't want to hear my kidnapped I always call them my kidnapped victim vocals. You don't want to have to hear those.
Yeah, I always wondered that about, like, when I'm wondering about, you too, but just like about how Mark's, students are just sitting there, Mr. Hennessy's in a band.
Right.
Yeah. There was a show on, there was a show, I want to say it was like on TBS or something like that. I think it was called Teachers. And the history teacher dude was a guy who used to be in like a rock band. He had like tattoos and stuff like that.
Right.
And like his band played, they're awful. They're horrible. And somebody sent me a link to that. And I was just like, yeah, I feel a little attacked here. This is a little too close to home.
Right.
So and it's probably like a running joke in education. Like the history teacher, probably like every department has a history teacher that was probably at some point in a band, that never made it to a certain status. So,
or even ones that really did. I mean, we've talked to like Martin Atkins, and he's
and he's university professor
from Ministry, Pill, Pigface. So the dude's been in Pill.
Wow, he's been in Public Image Limited. Yeah,
it's like, and I still wonder about his younger millennial students who are when he's up there teaching in Illinois.
Well, especially because he's kind of a little old man.
Right? Crazy hair, whatever. Who's this guy? He's like that guy fucking played for Johnny Rotten. You don't know who, I mean, I wonder like how many.
He's a legend.
How many are there because he's there, and how many there are just like, oh, I don't know. He was like in a band at some point. I don't know. Yeah.
Wow, where does he teach at?
It's Northern Illinois.
Is he a college professor?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. One in the Chicago area. I can't remember.
Decatur or
DeKalb would be northern.
DeKalb.
That'd be northern Illinois.
DeKalb. Yeah. It's been a long time since I lived up there. Yeah. And and I know some people have taken classes because of what he does. Yeah, he's written a bunch of books. On Tour Smart is one of his big ones. Great guy, smart guy, still a badass drummer, just amazing.
Yeah.
We caught him with Pigface last year, and I'm a big fan of his. Eventually got him on. It was a dream come true.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
But I mean, it's just like, so many people don't know how accessible he is, yet also, it's like, do you know who you're talking to?
Yeah.
That's what I want to tell
they
them.
don't. Yeah.
No, they don't. Yeah.
Right.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. I guess if Dave Grohl taught a class, maybe they'd know.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
At one point, he was everywhere. On like a few years ago, it seemed like every time I turned on TV, there was Dave Grohl. It's like, so sure, I can see Dave Grohl teaching a class.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a believable thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is a jack of all trades.
I believe it.
Yeah. But it's strange. It's strange. I do wonder about that. Like, what percentage of the class is there for what? Are they there
Yeah, but this day and age, people are like, "Oh, he was in a bed." I'm going to look this up.
Yeah, they can find everything. Unfortunately, my students have found some old videos, and I've heard, like I said, it'll be quiet, and I'll hear out of a cell phone like my kidnap victim vocals in the back of the room.
Oh, no.
Turn that off.
Yeah.
Nope. Not the time. Not the time.
Yeah, they just So, and then I'll get some of their parents, my parents used to come see you or whatever.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I had one student. It's like, well, my mom she was a waitress at Mississippi Nights, and
just
like,
oh man, we can talk about that place. I loved that place.
Yeah, there's a guy here in town in St. Louis named Garrett Enlow who's compiling a book on Mississippi Nights, and he's been doing research.
We should have him on.
Yeah, I'll send you his information.
Oh, that sounds juicy.
Him and his wife are putting this book together, and they've gone through a lot of research. I mean, they got research from what the building was like around like the turn of the 20th century, and all the way, when the place, when the venue first opened up as a music venue and stuff like that. So they're doing a lot of extensive research on it. So it should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was my favorite place to go in St. Louis for a show.
Yeah, that for a while there, that was like that was the preeminent place. I mean, so many bands went through there, And
I've only seen a few at that venue, but every show I've seen there has been a outstanding show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the biggest ones I saw one of them was Ultraman, and they were opening for Faith No More, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a good show.
Yeah.
And then I saw Corrosion and Conformity, Soundgarden, and Danzig there.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Corrosion and Conformity and Season of Risk open up, and it was Monster Magnet.
Monster Magnet's good.
Nice. That was a good, yeah. I saw Nirvana there, that whole, the Nirvana show where, Kurt Cobain invited everybody up on stage after Bouncer unplugged his distortion pedal or something like that. So,
yeah.
And that was I mean, if that show would have happened 2 months later, it wouldn't have been there probably. I mean, that's right when Nevermind kind of came out. And so, when I tell people, younger people that I saw Nirvana in a small club like that, that's I remember my brother said he saw Black Sabbath at a club right next to the arena in St. Louis in 1970 or whatever like that, 1970. So that's like that,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, Moline was just posting his Nirvana ticket from what was the venue? I think in Lawrence.
Oh, really? Did they play? Yeah. I wonder where they played. Did they play Bottleneck there?
Might have been Bottleneck.
Oh, where was it?
Who was it?
Eric Moline had just posted an old ticket stub from seeing them somewhere in Kansas. And it was a smaller venue.
Yeah, but that was I think it was September, October of 91.
Yeah.
And just a couple of months later, that probably wouldn't have been there. But everybody, I mean, so Garrett is, I'm looking forward to the book. It should be pretty interesting.
Oh yeah. We'd love to talk to him. It sounds like we were kind of thinking about doing that where we want to run a short series of shows that has to do with legendary kind of Midwestern venues.
Yeah.
Yeah, Garrett. Yeah, I'll send you his info.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we want to talk to people from the Blue Note here in Columbia, where I am, and then
let's saw great shows there too.
Oh yeah, a lot of them.
We've got Bottleneck, Mikey
Dye, yep, manages that place.
Yeah, that place is good too. Yeah, there's a lot of in the Midwest. There's a lot of college towns that just had great places to play.
Sure.
I mean, it was just. Now, I remember some guy, I think maybe 2 years ago, asked our guitar player about coming to Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
He was just he kind of discouraged him, saying, nobody will know who we are, It was just I don't know how many people are in, would remember from the 90s, we were there, I mean, maybe it was, I think I told Tim, I go, maybe if it's Parents' Weekend, maybe, I don't know. It's
Thanks,
to the point, maybe if it's grandparents' weekend, maybe their kids or their kids could leave them and they can come to the show.
Yeah, I just looked up Moline's thing. It was with Urge Overkill at the KU Ballroom, $7 ticket. Yeah,
that's it. Urge Overkill
opened October 17th, 1991.
Yeah, that was right around that time. Urge Overkill opened up. And then I was a huge Urge Overkill fan at that time. Yeah. That was right when Supersonic Storybook came out. I remember. Yeah. And Grohl ended up, I think he was playing Blackie Onassis' the drummer's set. Because he had the UO kick drum on there because I think the night before he destroyed his drum set or something like that was the story. But like Garrett, like I said, Garrett with Mississippi Nights, he's got all this stuff from people that just basically kind of send him things and flyers and like even like schedules for like who would work the club at one certain. I mean, it's just pretty impressive all the stuff that he's got. It's pretty.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I saw a Monster Magnet there at Mississippi Nights, but it was during like the initial kind of corn breakout.
Oh, right.
And I saw them, and they had like Kid Rock, and they had Head PE.
Mm-hmm.
Now, say what you will about Kid Rock. At that time, anyway, he wasn't doing like the country-esque shit.
No, he was that was his rap rock.
That was his rap rock era, ball with the ball, whatever. That dude can play a lot of instruments. That dude is a multi-talented cat.
Yeah, he's a talented guy.
Don't agree with his politics. Don't agree. But, he could play anything on that stage. I know that. I did shake his hand and say, man, that was a really good set. And it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's that. Yeah, like I said, the place just had so many people that right before they got huge, and then just other bands that were just like, I didn't go. That's the one thing I always kick myself. A friend of mine saw Husker Du there, which was second to last Husker Du show because Husker Du ended up breaking up, like I think the next night in Columbia or something, Missouri. So those were two. And so I was in high school, and I kind of kicked myself for not going to that because that would have been, I mean, that would.
But how can
You're welcome, America, from Columbia, Missouri.
Oh, there are so many shows that I have missed and just kicked myself for missing.
Yeah, I never saw Nirvana. That's one that I really kicked myself over.
Yeah, that was like I said. That was the only time I saw them at the Mississippi Nights at the time.
I remember, Jeff Buckley coming through Springfield,
exactly.
and I'm like, I'm so busy that night.
Jeff Buckley, Jeff Buckley played at a club called the High Point in St. Louis, real small, and I didn't go for whatever. I guess I didn't have that record or whatever, but that Grace record I just was obsessed with for so long, and I think it was Sheldon, so and I had something going on, and then he died. And that's another one. It was just like I wish,
I remember just telling myself next time around.
Yeah, and I missed the Sheldon show, and I was like, oh, maybe next time, and then that's one big like kind of I wish I would have seen that because I was obsessed with Grace for so long. I mean, I just like that was all I played for.
I had a roommate. He was from the East Coast, and he was in a band. They didn't really get anywhere, but they'd play coffee shop shows, sets like that.
Mm-hmm.
And one night they're just playing at this coffee shop, and this dude walks in and is like, is it okay if I jam with you? And they like look at the owner, and the owner's like, yes, jam with him.
Yeah.
And none of them knew who he was. And he played, had a good time, was a really nice guy. And then after he left, the owner was like, that was Jeff Buckley.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, a friend of ours who actually kind of helped book tours for us on the East Coast. He was working, and he ended up kind of managing us later. He worked for the William Morris Agency, and he saw Buckley at the Cine or whatever, that coffee house, whatever. That basically he did live performances there, and that's what kind of got him signed, I think. So like he was like, I couldn't imagine seeing that. That would be like seeing Zeppelin at at a coffee house, But yeah, that's one that I kick myself for not being able to see.
So on that note, let's flip it. Best show you think you caught that was like a magic moment that like wouldn't be able to. I can think of one. Replacements.
Yeah.
With Love and Rockets.
Oh wow.
In God, I can't even remember the year, but it was in Davenport, Iowa.
Wow.
I think it was the last tour they played. Caught that. Little girl who lived across the street from me was a big placemats fan. Snuck me out of the house. So I just want somebody to go with me so the guys don't harass me.
That's awesome.
I was like, right on. Gave me a free fucking ticket. Went there, saw both. It was like,
wow, yeah, that's a
I was talking to Rich Yargis about that. Yeah, that was a big one. They quit a little early because like some people were hurling beer bottles at the stage, but they played a good set, a good heavy set.
Yeah, you didn't know what you got with the Replacements. I heard. I never got to see them either. Because actually I was just reading the Jeff Tweedy book. Like I was he was talking about he went and saw the Replacements and X, like Replacements open up for him, and yeah, people were kind of harassing them and stuff like that, but they were just amazing, just because you didn't know what you got. I mean, you could get a drunken, you could get a drunken like basically melee, or you can get the best rock show.
Well, yeah, I think they were always kind of loaded, but it just depended on how functioning.
Yeah, their appeal. Yeah.
Right.
That might be on my list of those kinds of. I caught their last show in Springfield at the Regency.
Oh wow!
Yeah, Replacements. Yeah.
No, not the Replacements. Uncle Tupelo.
Oh, Uncle Tupelo.
Yeah,
that'd be a good one. Ooh, last shows though. I caught the last Beastie Boys Tribe Called Quest.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, being together, and that was in Kansas City.
Wow, that's awesome.
During the it was the Hello Nasty tour.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, we actually were supposed to open up a Tribe Called Quest out in Pennsylvania. We were on tour, and so we played. We were supposed to play Lehigh University, and so when we pulled up, the kind of organizers, we didn't even get out of the van. The organizers were like, "Hey, we didn't know you guys were playing," and we had this on our itinerary, for like a couple months, and he's like, "We could give you 15 minutes to play." I was all like, "Yes." I was just like,
hell yeah.
But a couple of the other guys were just like, it was pretty evident that they were just like, kind of like, "Can you guys leave?" I think even they said, they go, "We can't give you any money," all this other stuff. So we had a show in Vermont the next night. So we
got the load out and everything else.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed out. I was kind of ticked off, but
I would,
it was
just that exposure anyway.
Yeah, and I just wanted to see Tribe Called Quest, too. And so I don't know. It was just like one of those things where you it was like basically they were in a very passive aggressive way, just basically saying don't play.
Right.
And so we kind of picked up on that and stuff, But I'm trying to think shows that. Oh my God,
maybe you caught a good one.
That's a
think
tough
on it.
one.
Think on it.
Yeah, I mean,
Matt.
I'll say another one.
Wow.
Dave Matthews played my homecoming.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I have that.
Yes.
John saw Lane Staley melt down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Wow.
That wasn't a great thing though. They played like 3 songs at the Shrine Mosque in Springfield.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember that place. We never played that, but I remember that place.
Yeah. Circus of Power opened. Circus of Power killed it. They did
I've heard that name.
Excellent job.
Yeah.
Yeah, New York band. But Lane came out. I think they played like 3 songs, and then he was just like, he was out.
Wow.
He was just like done. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go backstage and take care of something. It's like, yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. So disappeared, never came back again. There was practically a riot from what I heard.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. I lived just like a block from there. I was like, well, that show's over. And we just left.
Right.
And I just lived a couple blocks away. And we just kind of blew it off.
Wow.
But yeah, that was sad.
Yeah.
That was sad to see. It wasn't like one of my favorite moments. Well, I got to see him right before he died. Well, yeah. I did. But it wasn't like the performance of a lifetime,
Right.
I'm trying to think, probably just recently, I saw Dinosaur Jr. a few years ago in Chicago at the Bottom Lounge, which is a real small venue, play You're Living All Over Me in its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool, and I'm trying to think older shows. I mean, it was just we used to go, man. I saw the last Tupelo show. That was the last one they ever played, Mississippi Nights.
Wow, that trumps me. Yeah.
They ended with give me whatever, give me 3 steps or whatever from
Skinner. Yeah.
It was kind of a little anticlimactic, but it was all right, okay. Teenage Fan Club and Afghan Wigs, I remember.
Ooh,
it was a real good show at Mississippi Nights.
Cool.
But yeah,
Matt and I saw a really surreal Smashing Pumpkins show.
Yeah.
We've told that story before. They played a conference room in a hotel.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was literally like a
little
like a conference hall. You get the big
like
with a big
reception
wall that'll pull in and out and shit.
Yes. Oh, Cicero's in St. Louis. I don't know if you guys heard of it. That was like a basement bar kind of place. They had a lot of. Like one of the best shows I saw. There was like John Spencer Blues Explosion, which was like, I mean, it was like literally like playing in a living room.
Right. Too big for that.
That was really good. God, there was a lot of shows that kind of came through there. Sebado, I saw there. That was like a really good show. Mm-hmm. So it was like it was like a pizza place, and so the ceilings were really low. I mean, they weren't low for me, but for people with normal height, I remember they were having some little, But God, there's so many. Yeah, that's a question. That's a tough question.
Yeah. Sorry.
Have to be Chalk Farm for me.
Yeah.
What's that?
What? I was making a joke. It was Chalk Farm. Does anybody even remember Chalk Farm? No, they were around.
I'm sure
they were a thing. And I wonder. What was the song?
Was that Candlebox or was that?
No, Candlebox. I like.
I just thought I heard the melody for some Candlebox song.
We were talking about them the other day too.
I saw Candlebox on my birthday one time. They had a really good time. Lead singer bummed a cigarette off me.
There you go.
Nice guy. Greta opened for them. They were great.
I've heard that name.
Yeah. Well, that was Eddie Vedder's old band.
Yep. Oh. And Brad Wilk played drums.
Oh, from Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah. Yep, that was the best part. At the Regency, a lot of stuff went down at the Regency.
Yep. Oh, man. Oh, we saw some real memorable shows there. Some of them we can't discuss.
Whatever happened to the Regency?
I think maybe they're still there. Maybe different ownership.
But... I know it's reopened a couple of times and reclosed and reopened, and I don't know.
Yeah, I remember sometimes in Springfield because there's a lot of Bible colleges down there, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember there would be a real there would be people at some of those shows that were kind of like I don't know. There was a couple of people that would come to the shows. Like this one kid came to the show and was showing off his like really bad tattoos. Like he had somebody like do like the Pearl Jam logo and Metallica and stuff on his thigh. I just remember like him like really occupying a lot of our time about that.
Right.
It's all I got. I was just like, I don't know why, and I just thought of that for some reason. I just remember like sitting in the booth there, the merch booth back in the like kind of like to the right in the back there, and dude, like me having to kind of feign like, oh yeah, that's great, kind of like, I mean,
it's the best shitty tattoo.
I mean, it's great. I mean, for a prison tattoo, I guess, So.
Right. So. Your 10 dudes got 11 fingers. That's great.
Maybe that'll be the next album.
People say like there was like they go to a certain college. I was like, "What's that?" There's like a Bible college. I was like, "There's like I think like 50 Bible colleges."
Yeah, it's just full of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think that's part of why. I don't know if you noticed this, but just from John and I's perspective, we've talked about it before. They went a little crazier in Springfield than they did in other places.
Yeah, people would have a good time there. I remember. I mean, we had some good shows at the Regency. People were into it. They were, having a good time. Yeah, it was. I said we always kind of had that on the itinerary. Like, try to at least do. Like sometimes we would go down to Arkansas. Like we did Fayetteville,
right?
And I think we did like Fort Smith, whatever like that. So Springfield was always kind of a like if we like I think we went down to Oklahoma or something like that, and Springfield was always kind of a stop on there.
Yep, thirsty.
And there was a lot of people from, and at that time there was a number of people from St. Louis that would go to school because it was Southwest, right? Southwest Missouri State,
right?
Yeah.
And, so there was quite a few people from Missouri that were there. So we would have like people that, so there were like
it was kind of a natural stopping point because it had both. You had a lot of students from both KC and St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And just people starved for entertainment.
Yeah, like a lot of those smaller college towns, stuff like that. Yeah, you just have people that would definitely would be appreciative of people coming through to play.
Yeah.
Oh, John, I'd put the 9 Inch Nails show on the list.
Oh yeah, that was at the Shrine. That was during the Downward Spiral, the Natural Born Killers. Yeah, That was good.
So that would have been good.
Manson opened. Yeah.
Yep. A lot of good shows there. Had some good times there.
Yeah.
Well, normally I'd ask you like, so when's the next reunion show? But
yeah, I know. Yeah, we had a show planned in March here in St. Louis. We were going to open up. It was going to be the grand opening for a place called Red Flag, which would have been the new Foo Bar.
Oh,
which
okay.
is like kind of like the punk rock club in St. Louis. Bob, who's in Ultraman, owns it, and it was supposed to be March 28th, and it just kind of I don't know what. So hopefully we get back to playing. People can I know I was looking forward to some shows coming up. Shiner was supposed to come through in June.
Nice.
And Dave, our bass player's other band called DiBiase, they were going to open up. It would have been a good show.
Shiner would be fun. Yeah, we can get you some good punk stuff from around here if you're needing anything out there.
Oh yeah, I mean because we'll play a few times a year and stuff. So, but yeah, I don't know what people are doing now. This is I don't know.
Yeah, it's been difficult because usually we can end on a positive note with the show. And we're like, hey, check us out here and here. We're going fucking here next. It's gonna be great. And we just chill. And everybody's like, well, I'm I think I'm gonna dust my guitar tomorrow.
I don't know what's. There's a lot of a friend of mine was just talking. I mean, there was a whole bunch of shows coming up through here. Like Circle Jerks were coming through.
I remember that. We were stoked about that. Yeah.
I saw that was another good show. I saw the Circle Jerks at Sports Palace in St. Louis, 7 Seconds.
Wow.
And so
there you go. You got it.
Yeah. So that was pretty good. But yeah, I mean, and I know after I get off here with you guys, I'll be that one. It's like
you're always welcome back, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks.
Sorry, I'm stuck on Circle Jerks in 7 seconds.
The 7 seconds. During 7 seconds, I remember that the PA went out.
Oh no!
Yeah, but it was like the place now. I think it's like a daycare. But but yeah, like I said, there's so many stuff that I'll probably be like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like we opened up for the Jesus Lizard at that High Point place, a really small place, which was a great show. You know, and so I mean, any of those small venues where you can see bands like that, that's like impressive, to me.
Did you get to hang out with Mr. Yao a little bit?
Not really that too much. No, not at all. Actually, I was a little intimidated by him. As a matter of fact, we last year, my other band that me and Dave, our bass player in R6 Implant, we opened up for Flipper. And it was David Yao was singing with Flipper. And then Porcupine was playing, and Greg Norton, who was in Husker Du, was playing bass for Porcupine. They were really good. And so I just talked briefly to Greg Norton. I didn't want to bother him.
I think I might have been creeping on your Facebook and saw that video.
Yeah, we had a video.
Yeah.
So it was a great show, and Yao was just a monster, so good. And then there was like kind of like a touching moment. There was a kid that his mom came out, and the kid I think he had MS, and he just was really into music, and so he had a wheelchair, and Yao brought him up on stage.
Right
and,
on.
And so the kid got the mic and was kind of and so it was it was kind of, I mean, it was just pretty touching actually.
Yeah.
Like David Yao was really I mean, and then after the kid got off to the next song, Yao was back to being Yao.
Right.
But he was amazing. I mean, it was amazing. But I was I didn't want to bother him, after the show. I didn't want to, I feel I mean, they played for 2 hours, and he was dry heaving at one point in the middle of the set, just still drinking beer. It was just he's just amazing to me.
Yeah. I mean, he just almost, I mean, even now he looks like somebody's dad, but then he gets up there and he just fucking destroys.
Oh, I know. I saw
just peeling paint.
Jesus Lizard a couple years ago up at Riot Fest, and then when they did a couple of those reunion shows and stuff and they're they're as good as ever.
As ever.
And
some
people they keep it for some reason.
But I did get a high five from Greg Norton while he was on stage, so
right on.
I was going to hold on to that for a while. But yeah, so I didn't want to bother him, but that was a great show. That was at that Foo Bar place, but
right on.
I digress.
No, not at all.
I always worry, like, when doing these things, I sometimes like, hey, I did this, I did that, you know.
No,
that's what seriously, like, we're a little bit different in that.
Yeah, we're not doing an interview. We're just hanging out. We don't care.
Yeah, and those are the best interviews, really, actually, you know.
Great,
because like I said, there's nobody really pushing anything right now.
No,
you know, because the Rona.
Because the Rona.
Yep.
But man, when you guys get back on it, I want to come catch you guys again. So
sure, yeah, we'll let you know. For sure.
Let me know when you're
we'll let you know, sure.
putting your shit out. We'll promote it. We'll punch it out there.
Either project.
Yeah,
thanks,
absolutely.
Yeah.
We love helping promote shit that's going on with friends of the show and everything else. And
apart from you guys, anything you're checking out these days? Anything new that we should be listening to that we haven't caught yet?
You know, I was just like talking with somebody who was just like, I really need to get better at like finding new bands. Mm-hmm. You know, my 19-year-old, he plays in a band, and he'll like kind of like try to hit me to some stuff like around town that he's played with and stuff like that. But I need to get better at like searching out, because they're out there, you know. Yeah. I mean, there's bands that are. I just listened to somebody posted something I just saw on Facebook. This one friend of mine on Facebook who's just like, he's like on. I mean, he's constantly searching for new stuff, and I think called False Brother or something like that. It kind of sounded like Joy Division a little bit, you know. But it sounded really good, you know. And so there's bands that are out there, because I know, because like I said, my 19-year-old, he kind of like, and I don't know, me and him were talking. He, I think he just kind of absorbed it just from growing up and being in the car with me and stuff. But like, he's like, but he would be like my wingman going to shows, you know. And he's like, you know, he's into all the stuff that I was into, you know. And he like kind of like even goes a little bit further. Like I remember he was like asking me about this band Slow Dive. It was like kind of like a shoegaze band, right? Yeah. And so, and I'd be like, yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I had any Slow Dive. I don't think, you know. And he's like, you lived in the 90s, didn't you? And he was like, kind of like, hey, settle down, you know, like kind of like, right. You know, but like his like, so there's kids like him that are going back to stuff like that, and then like kind of creating their own little spin on that, you know. And so, that's what it's just like, you know, like I want to try to find more of those bands, you know.
Right. Well, he's got to understand, and it's hard for kids to relate. There was no internet back in those days.
Yeah, like trying to like college radio, or trying to pick up fanzines, or just like going. I remember just like a lot of times just going to a record store and picking up a band just because of like it was on Touch and Go or AmRep or Sub Pop or whatever like that. And sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't, you know. But I mean, now everything you could kind of vet it a little bit. Right. But yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, like I said, my 19-year-old just kind of hit me onto this idea that, you know, there's bands out there that. There's a band in St. Louis here he's really into called Lobby Boxer that are pretty interesting. And they're like a 3-piece. They're real technical, but it's kind of almost like very melodic and catchy and kind of hooky a little bit, you know? And I need to get better at trying to find those, because also too, I think a lot of times too, that would be like kind of, I mean, you kind of get influence from listening to other people. Sure. You know, like there's definitely, like I said, we were like hugely influenced by like a lot of those Kansas City bands, you know, and while we may not sound like a lot of them, there's some aspects of how they played and what they, you know, that we kind of used and tried to kind of put our own little spin on there.
Sure. And one thing I'll say is a little bit of a cheat of mine is that I'll follow a label that I kind of latch onto now. That's kind of an online label. Like, for instance, we've had Tony Willis on from like Forbidden Place Records. And it's just, you know, he's a friend of mine online anyway, but I started following some of the bands. It's, a lot of it's real dooby, you know, kind of crunchy, you know, kind of space rock and some capacity. But shit, man, I like about probably 85% of everything he has on there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they put out some good stuff.
I mean, like Black Site out of Kansas City.
That's here. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Everything. It's the guys from Red Cape.
I don't know if you
know if you're familiar with them. Check out Black Site Records. Really check out Red. Black Site Records right there in Kansas City. Yep. Good stuff, man.
Yeah, because there's got to be like that town has got like, I mean, and I guarantee like whoever's on that, but there's probably like drummers. That town just like there was something in the water with drummers.
Oh yeah,
just like just like every drummer was like so like creative and
they were probably all Eric Moline because he goes from band to band.
Yeah, there's a number of people that do that. Like just people that just kind of like jump around.
I keep throwing his name out tonight.
Jumping around.
Yeah,
I like that.
He's prolific, but he's good. He's fucking really good.
Yeah, that town that town created just a lot of great drummers.
Mm-hmm.
Foxing. We talked them a while back there.
Oh yeah. I've seen that name, and they had like an audio tree thing. They're really good. Yeah, and they were packing it in here for a while. There was another band called Ludo that was from St. Louis. That was
I remember them. Yeah,
that was kind of doing it.
Yeah, Ludo kind of. They had one kind of hit, didn't they?
They were really catchy, and they played. I think they play in town. They'll do like a Halloween thing at the pageant in St. Louis here. But
yeah.
But that Foxing audio tree recording is really good on YouTube. They're interesting stuff. Just like kind of just definitely like the songwriting is pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. But there's bands like they're all over the. I mean, it's just like that's why I'm just like afraid, like it turn into just listening to like old stuff and classic rock or something like that.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
No,
kids need our support, man. We need to keep helping people out.
Yeah, keep checking out new stuff.
Right. Well, Scott, we don't want to eat up your whole night, man, but we sure appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
I know.
But yeah. No, I mean, it was just like saying, like, this is like the highlight of my day. It's like,
ours too, man.
I get to talk to other people. Hell yeah.
Yeah. That's fun. I mean, we've had a lot of people who are like, man, I don't know if I want to come on the show because like there's so many bad things going on. And by the time they're down, they're like, that was great.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. In a week. It's just me and my son here, and so he's probably tired of listening to me.
He wants his headset back.
Yeah, he wants his headset. He's got gaming to do. He wants his headset back.
Looking at Call of Duty.
So, but
come on, I play Doom. Yeah.
Oh, Doom. Yeah. I would say, "Hey, are you?"
Even know what
I would say, "Are you playing Doom?" And it would be, "Yeah, Boomer. That's what I'm playing."
There's a new Doom. There's a new one. I got it. Trust me, it's good.
Okay. I'm gonna get Pong. All right, Dad.
No,
what you do? Are you playing Pac-Man? What are you doing?
No, there is a new Doom. Doom Eternal. I just got it. It's only a couple weeks old. I've got it.
Like I said, the people passing by my bay window here may think I'm playing Doom right now. So my headset on.
All right, awesome. Scott. Let us know when we can catch a show, man. I really want to see it.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening to Undetermined the podcast. You've been listening to Scott Randall from Fragile Porcelain Mice and Jon and Matt, of course. Have a good night, everybody.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, I appreciate it, guys.